What's good, everybody, man? It's your boy Kenny Chow. Hey, we back with another reaction video. Today we got something a little different. We don't got no 5v5. We don't got no 1v1 trash sucking. We got the real reason why Paul George has been playing so bad in the 2020 NBA playoffs featuring Pandemic P. Now, as you guys know, if you guys do know, Laker Nation, baby. That's how we roll. All right, I'm the biggest Laker fan. All right, I've been a Lakers fan. My whole life growing up. That was my favorite team, obviously, because I'm from LA. You know what I'm saying? Big part of that was because of Kobe. Rest in peace to Kobe. But yeah, man, I'm a Laker fan. Laker Nation, bleed purple and gold. Whatever it is, man. You guys know the slogans. But today we talking about PG. Now, I gotta admit, PG has been really, really off. Obviously I've heard of the stuff going on a little bit. I don't know exactly what the details, but I've seen clips on Twitter, with him and Seth Curry, him with, Doc Rivers situation. There's a lot of things going on, you guys, that if you guys aren't aware of it, I'm sure Flight Mike's about to explain a lot of it right now. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with the video. Laker Nation, man. No Clippers in here, all right? PG, you had your chance. Should have came to LA. I really wish you were here with the Lakers. To be honest, we would have been a phenomenal team, bro. But it is what it is, man. Y'all doing your thing with the Clippers. We're going to see. But in honor of Mom Day. Oh, okay. I'm going to open this video with the brief on the Rest in peace, Kobe, man.
Game 4 in the first round of the 2020.
Rest in peace, Kobe and Gigi, man. It's still a crazy thing to think about, you guys, but stuff.
NBA playoffs, we all had the pleasure of watching a Slovenian forward who is quickly becoming an absolute phenom completely put the Dallas Mavericks on his back and destroy a team that was considered to be the heavy favorite to beat the Dallas Mavericks. We saw Luka Doncic hit this game winner to prevent a terrifying 3-1 series lead by the Los Angeles Clippers and turn it into a 2-2 series between both the Clippers and the Mavericks. And although Luka Doncic's play cannot be ignored, there's a much bigger storyline that is taking the place of this narrative, and that is without a doubt the performance of one of the Los Angeles Clippers star players, Paul George. And we discussed this at length yesterday. I asked you guys and you took to the comment section to let me know what you thought was the reason why Paul George wasn't performing well. What's going on with one of the NBA's marquee stars? Why is he not performing in one of the most pivotal moments of his career in a year that he has the opportunity to finally win a NBA championship? How could a player that was scoring 21.5 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, and 3.9 assists per game off of 44% shooting perform so horribly in the playoffs? Currently, throughout the entire playoffs, Paul George has averaged 15 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game, and 3.8 assists per game, only off of 29% shooting. In his last 3 games versus the Dallas Mavericks alone, Paul George has shot below 25% in each and every one of those games.
He has been
So
off.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Your boy Mike here, and before we get to the content, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on my notifications. NBA YouTube has been a little bit strange lately, so you may not be getting my notifications lately, so my videos may not be showing up in the feed for you, so make sure you join my Noti gang and just leave a like so you could let YouTube know that you enjoy my content. On top of that, I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time. We're gonna the description down below. 1-2. So let me take you through each and every one of Paul George's series, because I think at this point playoff P is officially pandemic P. And if Paul George can't get it together, we could all agree that the Los Angeles Clippers have virtually no shot at even sniffing the Western Conference Finals, let alone the second round of the NBA playoffs. Because as a matter of fact, going all the way back to Game 1, when Luka Doncic turned in a very similar performance than he did in Game 4, Luka put up 42 points, had 9 assists and 7 rebounds, obviously not as incredible as his last performance, off of 13 for 21 shooting. Kristaps Porzingis, although ejected in the middle of the game, put up 14 points off of 33% shooting. Kawhi Leonard had 29 points off of a little bit better than 50% shooting, and Paul George had his last decent game as a member of the Los Angeles Clippers. And this is the important part, because I've echoed these statements in multiple videos. Paul George put up 27 points off of 10 of 22 from the field. And the reason why this is significant is you could see Lou Williams only had 14 points off of 4 of 10 shooting. He only played 31 minutes, and the Clippers didn't need to insert him in as much because Paul George was going. And once that happens, then the Clippers are a little bit more of a defensive threat. So to say that the fate of the Los Angeles Clippers literally hinges on Paul George's shoulders is really not an understatement. It's actually the 100% truth, because if you take Paul George out of games and you insert Lou Williams into lineups instead, then teams will target Lou Williams defensively, and that could result in some easy baskets for the opposing team, and in this case, the Dallas Mavericks. As a matter of fact, in Game 2, we saw a little bit of this, because Lou Williams in Game 2 was able to put up 23 points off of 8 of 13 shooting, whereas Paul George began his pandemic P games where he was 4 of 17 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3 for 14 points. And as a result, the Dallas Mavericks were able to beat the Los Angeles Clippers 127 to 114. But despite that, the Clippers were able to win Game 3 without Paul George. Even though he went 3 of 16 for 11 points, the Clippers were able to eke out a win. And I guess Luka Doncic having a horrible game had something to do with that, but at the end of the day, the Clippers were in a position to push this series to 3-1, despite Paul George seeming to go ghost. But their previous game was a complete culmination of everything, as in this game, Paul George played 45 minutes and had 9 points off of 3 of 14 shooting.
Terrible.
And it goes from thinking, okay, this may have been a fluke, you know, he's a star player and this isn't something you should expect consistently, to something that you can officially expect consistently. This is something that's been happening for 3 straight games. And look, I know I'm a Laker fan, and I'm not trying to hate on the Clippers because I'm at the point in my life where I'd rather the Clippers advance or the best team to advance so we could get an epic series between the Clippers and the Lakers.
No, man.
I'm not trying to bag
bro.
on the Clippers. Rather, I'm proposing a theory why Paul George may be performing so horrifically. And here it goes. You see, while Luka Doncic is performing admirably in the NBA playoffs, and while the Dallas Mavericks are looking like an up-and-coming team, there is one player that most of us haven't been paying attention to.
Seth Curry. Yes, sir.
On the Dallas Mavericks. As a matter of fact, this is a player
Seth
that
Curry.
isn't even in the Dallas Mavericks starting lineup. In Game 1, this player shot 5 of 11 from the field for 14 points. In Game 2, this player shot 6 of 9 from the field for 15 points, but was a plus 30 in plus minus. In Game 3, this player scored 22 points off of 9-11 shooting, including a perfect 4 for 4 from 3. And in Game 4, this player only scored 15 points off of 6 of 9 shooting. And this player that I'm telling you about right now is Seth Curry.
Look at Curry, man.
Mike, what's the big deal about Seth Curry? Well, take a look at this clip right here.
Spectacular finish. My goodness.
Yes, sir.
Did you not catch that? Well, take another look at it. In this play, Seth Curry drives in on Paul George, is able to get the contact layup, and then turns around and calls him a ass. Goodbye, monetization. And you might be thinking, Mike, what's the significance of Seth Curry, a role player that could get hot on occasion on the Dallas Mavericks, looking at Paul George and saying these words? Well, these two have some history, and the story goes all the way back to 2014. You see, in 2014, there were rumors about Paul George getting a stripper by the name of Daniela Rajic pregnant, and that's the girl in the thumbnail, by the way, and then trying to then pay her $1 million to not have the baby and to have an abortion instead. Rajic declined and gave birth to a baby girl. Now, back then, Paul George was in a relationship with Callie Rivers. And this is at the time where Paul George was playing for the Pacers, Doc Rivers was coaching the Los Angeles Clippers. You wouldn't really think that these two would have a tie. But what's crazy about this is, once Rajic declined to have an abortion, Paul George ended up getting together with her.
Wait, what? Why is there subtitles now?
So Callie Rivers, finding out that Paul George was unfaithful to her and had a baby with another woman, decided to end her relationship with Paul George. And 6 years passed, and Paul George would eventually get traded to the Los Angeles Clippers and play for Doc Rivers, who's his ex's father. Now, what's crazy about this story, he's currently dating the woman that he knocked up, and they seem to be very happy together. They post a lot of cute family photos. But there's another twist to the story. We didn't finish Callie Rivers' character arc, because in those 6 years, Callie Rivers got together with Seth Curry. And Seth Curry is currently married to Callie Rivers.
Look at Curry, man.
When you take all of that into consideration and you pay attention to this one clip where Seth Curry calls out Paul George, it all begins to make sense. So Seth Curry is, first of all, performing significantly better than Paul George is in this series. And this isn't a knock on Paul George's relationship with Daniela Rajic. If that's what ended up happening and you're a happy human being, then that's fantastic. They have 2 daughters together and they seem extremely happy. So that's all that really matters.
I didn't even see that clip. Oh.
But this gives Seth Curry a whole bag to camp into Paul George's brain in the middle of this series.
Oh, yeah.
And if you ask me, it's working. Think about it. You're letting your head coach down, and your head coach's son-in-law is completely torching you on the basketball court. That son-in-law is married to the woman that you cheated on with your current girlfriend. And although we could jump into the morality of it all, whether Paul George is a good human being or a bad human being, that's not what we're here to discuss.
Yeah, for sure not.
I'm here to identify why Paul George has been performing so horrifically, and I think it's because Seth Curry is now in Paul George's head.
I think it's a mental thing for sure, you guys. Like, I really think Seth Curry got real estate in Paul George's head right now. Like, this is off the court stuff. Sometimes those things carry on to the court, and it's really tough to play through, especially when you used to date the head coach's daughter. A lot of weird things going on in this series.
There could be other explanations out there. I'm not saying that there aren't other explanations out there.
Yep.
However, I feel like this is the one that makes the most sense to me. How else could you describe a player that has been performing relatively well and even performed well in game 1 of this series, performing so horrifically bad in a series against his ex-girlfriend's new husband, who, by the way, he cheated on with his current girlfriend. Now, another thing that I want to bring as supporting evidence to this is it appears as though Paul George's personal life is a typical weak spot for him. As a matter of fact, we saw a couple of weeks ago Damian Lillard's sister attacking their relationship.
Look at the pictures and start talking hella shit because you can't talk. You got a whole stripper pregnant, then you wife the bitch. Then look at her lips, look at her face. Come on now, baby boy, don't, because I'm getting personal with it.
And as a result of that, Paul George immediately reached out to Damian Lillard and tried to apologize and mend the fences and squash the beef immediately. So what does that tell you? Well, on one hand, I do think it's very mature of Paul George to do it, but on the other hand, that's definitely a soft spot for him. It's definitely something that he doesn't feel so good about. It's definitely something that could make him feel crappy inside. If you guys made it to the end of this video, please drop a like, because there's no doubt in my mind that this video got demonetized. And Baron...
Bro, that's wild, bro. I mean, I kind of knew it. I didn't know into detail about some other stuff, like Curry getting married. Yeah, but I think PG definitely got something going on. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think, man. Be sure to go subscribe to the channel. Let me know who y'all think is going to win the series too. I got the Mavs, man. Mavs in 7. Mavs in 7. Let me know. Catch y'all next time. Peace.